The Almoravid Dynasty began in the vast Sahara, where Berber tribes struggled against the harsh desert. They were nomadic warriors, hardened by sun and sand, bound together by faith and survival. From these unforgiving lands, they forged the seeds of an empire that would dominate medieval North Africa and extend into medieval Spain. Their leader, Abdallah ibn Yasin, preached a strict interpretation of Islam, calling for unity and discipline. What started as a desert reform movement soon became a powerful force that altered the course of Islamic Spain history. The Berber Empire, once fragmented, began to rise under a single banner, promising conquest and glory across two continents.
Abdallah ibn Yasin, a devout scholar, became the spiritual architect of the Almoravid Dynasty. He urged the Berber tribes to embrace religious reform, adopting a purer form of Islam. Under his leadership, faith and discipline were no longer abstract ideas. They became the foundation of political power. The desert warriors transformed into a holy army, bound by loyalty not only to their leaders, but to God. Ibn Yasin's teachings gave the Almoravid dynasty a sense of mission, turning them into defenders of Islam in medieval North Africa. His vision of unity resonated across tribes, bringing order where chaos once reigned, and preparing the Berber Empire for its first great expansion.
Armed with faith and discipline, the Almoravids launched their first campaigns in the desert. They fought rival Berber tribes and extended their influence into regions once thought unconquerable. Their black veils, covering their faces from sand and sun, became a symbol of their identity and resolve. The Almoravid dynasty was no longer a small movement, but a rising Berber empire with a military reputation. These warriors used speed, surprise, and harsh desert knowledge to defeat enemies. Their early victories spread fear and respect across medieval North Africa, marking them as a new force in the Islamic world.
As the Almoravid dynasty grew, they needed more than tents in the desert. They founded Marrakesh, a new city that would serve as the heart of their empire. Marrakesh became not just a military base, but a center of trade, culture, and religion. Surrounded by the Atlas Mountains, it flourished with markets, mosques, and palaces. The Berber Empire had finally rooted itself in stone, turning from nomads to rulers of cities. Marrakesh symbolized power and permanence, signaling that the Almoravids had moved beyond mere warriors. They were now kings of medieval North Africa, shaping Islamic Spain history from their desert stronghold.
The Almoravid dynasty expanded westward across the Maghreb, uniting lands that had long been divided. Their armies swept through what is now Morocco, Algeria, and Mauritania. The Berber Empire forged new order, blending tribal loyalty with Islamic law. They built fortresses, mosques, and caravan routes, ensuring that faith and trade flourished side by side. The Almoravids were not just conquerors, they were administrators, bringing stability to medieval North Africa. Their success created a strong foundation for the next phase of their destiny, crossing the sea into medieval Spain. In the 11th century, Islamic Spain, Al-Andalus, faced crisis. The once mighty Caliphate of Cordova had fractured into rival kingdoms called taifas. These petty states were threatened by Christian kingdoms from the north. Desperate for help, the rulers of Al-Andalus called upon the Almoravid Dynasty. For the Berber Empire, this was a divine opportunity to defend Islam in Europe and extend their rule into medieval Spain. The Almoravid warriors, hardened by desert wars, prepared to cross the Strait of Gibraltar. The fate of Islamic Spain, history, now rested in their hands.
The Almoravid Dynasty made its mark on medieval Spain with the Battle of Sagrajas in 1086. Led by Yusuf ibn Tashfin, they faced Alfonso VI of Castile and his Christian army. Outnumbered but not outmatched, the Almoravids unleashed their desert-hardened tactics. The clash was fierce, the ground soaked with the blood of two worlds. In the end, the Berber Empire triumphed, halting the Christian advance. This victory secured Islamic Spain history for another generation, proving that the Almoravid warriors were not just guests, they were saviors of Al-Andalus.
Yusuf ibn Tashfin emerged as the most celebrated ruler of the Almoravid dynasty. Unlike many warlords, he combined military strength with political wisdom. In Marrakesh, he built mosques, organized laws, and ensured that the Berber Empire remained strong and disciplined. In Al-Andalus, he was both protector and ruler, replacing weak Taifa kings with direct Almoravid control. His leadership secured stability across medieval North Africa and medieval Spain, uniting regions under one authority. Yusuf was remembered as a man of faith, simplicity, and justice, who wore wool instead of silk, yet commanded an empire stretching from the Sahara to the Ebro River.
After their triumph at Sagrajas, the Almoravid dynasty tightened their grip on Iberia. One by one, the Taifa kingdoms were absorbed into the Berber Empire. Almoravid governors replaced local rulers, mosques were restored, and Islamic law was reinforced. In medieval Spain, the Almoravids became a force of unity, halting the Christian Reconquista for decades. Their presence transformed the culture of Al-Andalus, infusing it with the discipline and austerity of the desert. The once fragmented Islamic Spain history now marched under a single Almoravid banner, making the Berber warriors masters of two continents.
While the Almoravids ruled Al-Andalus, Marrakesh flourished as the heart of their empire. It became a city of scholars, merchants, and warriors. Caravans brought gold from West Africa, ivory from the south, and fine textiles from across the Mediterranean. The Almoravid dynasty turned Marrakesh into a crossroads of medieval North Africa, blending desert traditions with urban sophistication. At its center rose the Great Mosque, a symbol of both faith and power. From this desert capital, the Berber Empire commanded armies and administered justice, shaping Islamic Spain history from across the sea.
The Christian kingdoms of the north did not remain silent. Alfonso VI of Castile, emboldened after his earlier conquests, continued his campaigns against Al-Andalus. The Almoravid Dynasty stood as the barrier, defending the Islamic frontier in medieval Spain. Battles raged along the Duero and Tagus rivers, where Berber warriors clashed with Christian knights. The struggle was more than territorial. It was a holy war for both sides. For decades, the Berber Empire held the line, preventing the fall of Al-Andalus and ensuring that Islamic Spain history endured against the growing power of the Reconquista.
Though the Almoravids were known for their austerity, their presence in Al-Andalus created a rich cultural exchange. They brought with them Berber traditions while absorbing the refined art and architecture of Islamic Spain. Córdoba and Seville flourished with poetry, music, and learning. Scholars debated philosophy, science, and law. The Almoravid dynasty became a bridge between the desert and the cities, between medieval North Africa and medieval Spain. Their rule preserved the cultural brilliance of Al-Andalus, ensuring that Islamic Spain history remained a beacon of knowledge even in times of war.
The strength of the Almoravid dynasty was not only in its armies, but also in its wealth. The Berber Empire controlled trade routes across the Sahara, where caravans carried gold, salt, and slaves. These riches flowed into Marrakesh and Al-Andalus, financing armies and palaces. In medieval North Africa, trade meant survival, and the Almoravids mastered it. By linking West Africa to the Mediterranean and Iberia, they built an economy that sustained their rule for nearly a century. Their control over commerce made them a dominant power in both Africa and medieval Spain.
The Almoravid dynasty ruled not only with swords, but with faith. They enforced strict religious observance, closing taverns, regulating public life, and ensuring conformity to Islamic law. In Marrakesh and Al-Andalus, clerics held authority alongside governors, giving the Berber Empire a moral backbone. This discipline both strengthened and limited them. While it unified their society, it also brought resistance from those who longed for the more tolerant spirit of Córdoba's golden age. Still, in the history of medieval North Africa and medieval Spain, the Almoravids remained defenders of orthodoxy, champions of an austere but powerful vision of Islam.
As the Almoravid dynasty reached its height, a new rival emerged, the Almohads. Also Berber in origin, they criticized the Almoravids for straying from religious purity. In the mountains of Morocco, the Almohads gathered strength, challenging the authority of the Berber Empire. Their fiery preachers denounced Marrakesh, while their armies prepared for war. This new movement reflected the cycle of medieval North Africa, where one dynasty often replaced another in the name of faith. For the Almoravids, the Almohads represented both a mirror and a threat, foreshadowing the decline of their power in Islamic Spain history. In medieval Spain, the Almoravid dynasty struggled to maintain control.
Their strict rule alienated many Andalusians who preferred the refined culture of the old caliphate. Meanwhile, Christian kingdoms grew stronger, capturing cities and fortresses along the frontier. The Berber Empire's resources were stretched thin, defending both North Africa and Iberia. By the early 12th century, rebellion and invasion weakened their grip. The once mighty Almoravids, who had saved Al-Andalus at Sagrajas, now faced collapse. The decline of their rule marked a turning point in Islamic Spain history.
The final blow came when the Almohads marched on Marrakesh. After years of war, the city, the heart of the Almoravid Dynasty, fell in 1147. The Berber Empire, once stretching from the Sahara to the Ebro, crumbled. Marrakesh was looted, mosques were destroyed, and the Almoravid line was extinguished. What had begun as a desert reform movement ended in blood and ruin. Yet the Almoravids had left their mark on medieval North Africa and medieval Spain. Their legacy would not vanish with their fall. Even after their fall, the Almoravid dynasty influenced architecture, law, and religion. They introduced the ribbed dome into Islamic architecture, leaving behind mosques that still stand today. Their strict interpretation of Islam shaped medieval North Africa for generations. In Al-Andalus, they preserved cities from collapse, ensuring that the brilliance of Cordoba and Seville endured for a time longer. Though their empire ended, their cultural and religious imprint remained, marking them as a vital chapter in Islamic Spain history. The Almoravid dynasty also preserved and elevated Berber identity. For centuries, Berber tribes had been overshadowed by Arab rulers. But under the Almoravids, the Berber Empire ruled both medieval North Africa and medieval Spain. Their black veils and desert discipline became symbols of pride. Even in defeat, Berber warriors remained central to the story of the Maghreb. The Almoravids showed that the Berber people could forge empires, shape Islamic Spain history, and leave behind a legacy remembered across 2 continents.
Thus ended the tale of the Almoravid dynasty, Berber warriors who once ruled from the Sahara to Spain. They rose from desert sands, united by faith, and carved an empire across medieval North Africa and medieval Spain. Their victories preserved Islamic Spain history for generations, while their downfall showed the fragility of empires built on strict ideals. The Berber Empire of the Almoravids is gone, yet its memory endures in mosques, manuscripts, and the echoes of warriors who marched beneath black veils. The Almoravid story reminds us that even in the harshest deserts, history can give birth to empires.